welcome. And as we had just said in the intro, it's been 3 weeks
At least, yeah.
yeah, since you took the deep sea diver
Yeah.
module before we have been able to talk about it. So why don't we start both for you know us and for the
Hmm.
context of our community, just talking a little bit about like what you got about deep sea diver and like what
Hmm.
how you understand the stage, and
Hmm.
then we can talk about your experience in that workshop, and then what has transpired since. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that's a tough question for me to answer because something happened with Deep Sea Diver beyond stages. I feel like at Deep Sea Diver, I integrated circling beyond stages.
Oh wow.
Yeah. It was a really big integration of the model and my existing experience with other models for healing and self-growth and individuation or alchemy or
Mm.
shamanism or all these other things I've dipped my toes into. And
Yeah.
for me, they all connect. They're
Hmm.
all different portals to the same place. And you hear the change in my voice because that's like a spiritual truth for me.
Yeah.
Um, and this is just another beautiful model of getting to that place. So
Yeah.
let me see like what is most significant about my experience with Deep Sea Diver.
Sure.
It feels to me like this is just my words, but it's the point at which circling got really real.
Mm.
I feel like everything before this was kind of a dance to get to this depth,
Hmm.
and this is the depth where the real work is. Like
Yeah.
it felt like coming home for me,
Beautiful.
going to this depth.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that like how that lands for me is this idea of like, well, the sovereign is kind of like the ground or like the container
Hmm.
in which circling can occur. And then like explorer and warrior are kind of like setting the stage for deep sea diver to happen. And then like that's where, the real aliveness is and the real like opportunities are. Is that
Yeah, the way I'm receiving that is the other three stages create the container or the vessel, the word
or the
I prefer to
condition?
container.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the deep sea diver is actually how to be with what is in that space.
Yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
it's interesting because that makes so much sense. Like when we give the taglines, to
Hmm.
the stages where like sovereign is like the more I can be with me, the more I can be with you. And this
Hmm.
explorer is getting the other person's world. With warrior, the seeing of what hasn't been seen. And deep sea diver, the feeling what has not been felt or has not yet been fully felt. So it makes a lot of sense that you're like, oh yeah, that's where the real work begins. And I think is it like Dan Siegel? There's one of the modern leaders of psychotherapy will say you have to feel it to heal it.
Hmm.
Might even be Gordon Neufeld as well. They probably both say it. And I
Hmm.
think that's what happens like with deep sea diver. It's like, yeah, we get in there and let yourself fully feel even into the
Hmm.
periphery or the blind spots. And when you become more fully aware of the full experience, the full perspective, and even all of the things that you might be like in denial of or avoiding, that's when, as you say, the real work happens or the
Yeah.
real opportunities present themselves, the real
Yeah.
possibilities present themselves.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that framing. Yeah, feeling what hasn't been felt, it gets beneath the cognitive, it gets beneath the emotional, for me anyway, and it gets into deeper existential and spiritual relationship to self and other and reality. And that's for me, everything's relational. So
Yeah.
until you get to that deep relational well in community with a witness, right? It's all just ideas before then. And then it
Right.
becomes an experience. Yeah, experiencing the depth of something that needs something.
Yeah. Yeah. The lived experience of that. And
Yeah.
it always makes me laugh where when Guy will say, it's not turtles all the way down, it's
Mm.
relationships all the way down. And I'm like,
Hmm.
yep, Guy. Like
Yeah.
he'll just say it, no context for anyone. Like it's like only the initiated will know what the heck he's saying. He's like, it's
Hmm.
not turtles all the way down, it's relationships. And everyone's
Yeah,
like,
I'm not getting
what?
turtles either.
Yeah.
Turtles is a symbol for a writer for me, so I'm not
Yep.
familiar with the way you're using
Yeah,
it.
well, yeah, and it's funny. It's that obscure writer who, like, you'll see the stack like that. It's it's turtles all the way down me. And I
Okay.
don't, I think it comes from like indigenous tradition.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's one of the indigenous structures of the world.
Yep. And
Well,
there was like
yeah, okay.
there was so it's a novel by John Green. And so, yeah, it's like, it's so funny when he says that, it's like, he was like, it's only the initiated get it. And he's like, you could just say it's relationships all the way down. Like truly
Hmm.
relationships are what, run the world. Like
Yeah.
it's, and like, it's where we discover who we are through
Hmm.
relationships. It's,
Hmm.
it's where the people making happens, as Virginia Satir would say. It's the relationships. And I think that's why I like what you pointed out of like, it's not just that I'm fully feeling my, experience, but I'm doing it with a witness
Yeah.
and in community,
Right.
because especially when there's 3, 4 other people in the
Yeah.
circle there with you,
Yeah.
there's something about the collective. Yeah, and I really appreciated you naming like it goes beyond feeling the emotions, feeling your experience, the collective existence, the tension, the dissonance, like you're just feeling all of it,
Hmm.
including like the historical context, whether
Hmm.
it's your personal history, the intergenerational history, societal
Hmm.
history, especially when you have, like you said, the community in the room. Like you can't avoid the bigger context,
Yeah.
in which all of these things occur.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so powerful. I don't know. It makes me excited of like, this is why I want everybody to experience it,
Yeah.
because it's like transcends and includes so many other things that we do,
Yeah.
you know. Yeah, I love it. So tell me a little about, if you can recall, since it has been 3 weeks, about the experience, because I know what we do in our program, for those of you who might be, this is the first video you're finding, we give the students some preparatory materials, about each stage and the facets of that stage before they come to the in-person module. And then we, do exercises and, circles that help you get a lived experience of, focused on, this particular stage. And then we hope, as the yogis say, we do take it off the mat and into the world, as you pointed out, like then you integrate that into your life and the other things that you do, as a person, as a spiritual community, as a, Tai Chi practitioner. Like you take your
Hmm.
experiences and you get to like go back and integrate them into the wholeness of your life. And so I'm curious, at any point in that
Yeah.
trajectory, is there anything that stands out for you that you'd want to share?
Yeah, there's both a personal thread and a communal thread.
Mm-hmm.
The personal thread is what was cool about Deep Sea Diver is we finally got to instruction about the ways in which circling recommends helping another human being go deeper into their own experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I've played around a lot with the tools that circling suggested, and I've played around with a lot of tools from other modalities. And that's part of the reason that it felt like coming home. I finally got to the place where I could start sharing those tools that I've been using with myself and with my spouse with another. Um, and
Mm,
that was really meaningful in a way that's so hard to put to words. It's so I came here to learn how to do that, to take it back to my communities, because psychedelic medicine, for example, the integration of those experiences is difficult. The imagery, what you feel, much of it is outside of normal experience. What does it mean now that I'm back here in normal consciousness? And yeah, using circling to integrate those sorts of experiences is something that I've also now been able to do. I've been able to take it back to my psychedelic community and begin using it there. So there's
mm.
both this kind of personal realization of a capacity and also bringing it into community. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. I noticed a little like tingly effervescence of excitement in me when you're like, oh yeah, like I've been using them with my wife, myself and my wife in this community, and now I'm feeling confident and inspired to bring them to other communities. There was just like something effervescent about that for me. Like, wow, like I I love not only hearing that you have that confidence and that capacity, but also just imagining like the benefits that that's having for you and for the other people that you interact with.
Yeah.
Fascinating to hear.
Yeah. It's as I said to John during the circle during the deep sea diver weekend, it felt like a becoming. Like I hit a home run. I nailed the experience
Mhm.
and I knew I could do it, but I hadn't done it yet. And
Mm,
then in the doing, where I fall apart and the
yeah.
other falls apart, and I'm just in flow, and like the stuff I've been doing in a smaller community is just coming out of me to help another. It was so fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
And like I almost couldn't be present with the instruction afterwards because I was just so changed by it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was in shock, really.
Right. That
Yeah.
that blossoming
Yeah.
into the flow of experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then to shift gears to try to hear feedback or like, oh yeah, that was amazing. Here are the few little places where you could have done
Right.
something different. And you're like, let me be. I know it's
It,
such a
it,
difficult
it
thing,
was. It was.
especially
Yeah.
like, with a modality and a program where we so value presence,
Yeah.
like to make that shift to feedback
Yeah.
after being in such a rich and transformative experience. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can imagine that was rough. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the rough part really hit about 10 days later
Mm.
when the portion of me that didn't believe that I could do this surfaced. And
Oh,
I had to spend, oh, I don't know, it was about 36 hours in this exile that I'd experienced before in flashes, but had never been so consumed by. And I was scared of my spouse. I was scared of pretty much everything. It was like a childhood way of being after I was a victim of corporal punishment. That this is like an energy that was always looking for where is the energy shift that means I'm going to be hit again so I can be right ahead of it. I was in that for 36 hours. And if for people who are hearing this who haven't done that kind of work, the first time you do it, it's terrifying. I've done it enough that it was really uncomfortable, but I also knew it would end, and I also knew I was there to learn from it, and I
yeah.
did my best to be curious with it when it wasn't overwhelming me, and I really did learn, like,
Oh.
oh my God, my poor child, what it was like being like that all the time, and
Mm.
also seeing the places where it would surface in adulthood all the time. Just hear that little energy, like somebody's energy just shift really. Do I need to be worried?
Yeah, do I
And
need to protect myself?
so yeah, in addition to this becoming the thing I needed to
Yeah.
slough off, came
Yeah.
off 10 days later.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, because I was really struck by the like how you articulated that expansion and contraction that so many of us
Yes.
experience of like,
Yes.
oh, I stepped into a bigger
Yes.
version of myself and then but then that gets
Yes.
scary and then I have to shrink.
Yes.
And then these old wounded parts that are like, don't be too big for your britches, or like,
Yeah.
how dare you,
Yeah.
think you're capable,
Right.
they will surface.
Yes.
And it's interesting to say, like, I spent 36 hours in there. You're like, yep. Like I said, I was in the contraction,
Yeah.
and then that's sloughed off. And
Yeah.
who knows? We may repeat that
Of
cycle
course. Of course.
and slough off another layer and
That's
slough
right.
off another layer
Yeah.
each time.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love that you're
Yeah.
already embracing the idea of like, yeah,
Yeah.
and like we do with Warrior in the spiral
Right.
staircase. And like
Every
like
time.
it's a
Yeah.
level higher, it's a level higher. So I might come back to that same wound or that same,
Yes.
life goal, that same edge, but I'm coming it from a different level
Yeah.
every time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
That
lovely.
that frame is important. It's important to journal. It's important to talk about it because when you're in it, so often we forget that it's just contraction. We're like, it's all a lie. It was all a lie.
Right? Yes, it's
Yeah,
so easy to slip
yeah,
into it was all a lie.
yeah,
Or like self-judgment and self-deprecation of like, oh,
yeah,
I didn't have that progress. See,
yeah,
I backslid. I'm right back where I was. And it's like, oh no,
right,
no, it's just the
yeah,
contraction after the expansion. Like
yeah,
it's like, and it's like a this thing.
yeah,
It wasn't like a dun dun dun
right,
dun. It was like, oh, you did this. You're like you
yeah,
climbed and now you're plateauing.
yep,
And then you climbed and now you're plateauing. And so
yeah,
it's not regression.
right.
It's not backsliding. It's the expansion and contraction.
When you chart the long loop, it looks like this,
Yeah.
but when you go through it, it's
Yeah. Yeah. Yes,
right.
exactly.
Yeah,
And then
Yeah.
there's a peak and then there's a valley,
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if you track it over
Yeah.
time,
Right.
like it's a
Yeah.
it's a gradual ascent. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay. Anything else? Anything else as you're as as we're processing this together that's sparking for you of like, oh yeah, this was powerful or this was enjoyable or this was, I think is valuable perhaps for other people's journeys.
This is more idiosyncratic and it's more for the community and cut it out if it doesn't belong here. But
Mhm.
um, yeah, just once again, trying to speak to the community about what I'm really working on. I'm in the midst of this spiritual coming out party, and it remains uncomfortable for me. So when I am being circled, please help me jump past the context when I'm talking about my childhood and get to the present moment about being uncomfortable as a spiritual being in a mainstream reality that looks at a lot of my experiences as woo or far more derogatively as bullshit. Yeah,
Or
and
even
that's really what I need.
pathological.
Um,
There's there's some communities that
I
look at
guess, I guess.
spirituality as like a defect.
I did. I guess that's true. I did when I was a hardcore atheist, so that's true. I've not met anyone here that's doing that, but
Yes.
yes.
No,
Yeah.
no, not well, not in our community, but yeah,
Yeah.
in the greater society.
And you'll listen to me talk about the woo and it's a little bit crazy. That's the dissonance. That's soft, like that's the dissonance for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
It
And for
seems so
many.
subtle, but that's actually me not being comfortable in my spiritual skin.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And I think it's powerful for people to hear that, like, even you who, are, quite open about, talking about spiritual pursuits, still experience that occasional discomfort in your spiritual skin.
It's everywhere, Korenna. I was at
Feels
the
so
eye doctor this
relatable.
morning trying to talk to the eye doctor about my orientation towards what's possible with my body. My muscles need not fail at my 50s. That's a mainstream culture illusion. It's just not true.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not. Yeah.
yeah,
Like we've seen
yeah,
people who've never worked
yeah.
out or resistance trained start after 50
Right.
and have amazing,
Yeah,
progresses. Yeah. It is
yeah,
interesting that idea. And that's one of the things I love about circling and the perspective taking and the meeting people where they are, where it kind of forces you to let go of
yeah.
the cookie cutter norms
Mm-hmm.
and like putting expectations on yourself or others. And what else is possible? Or
Yeah,
this was the perspective I was raised with, or I was
yeah,
taught, or I have cultivated for myself over the past 30 years.
yeah,
And, what else is possible? And how do
yeah,
I integrate this new information or this
yeah,
new experience? Like, I really, I think it helps us like stay in the flow,
yeah,
stay curious and
yeah,
flexible.
yeah. The way I'm receiving what you're saying, we live in a pluralistic world and we want to keep it that way.
Yeah,
And circling such a beautiful way of just dropping everything you've walked in the door with and meeting the world as it is.
I love it. Leave it at the door and meet the
The
world,
world
the
as it is.
individual as it is. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that could be a very succinct tagline for like if someone's like, what exactly is this circling thing you do?
Yeah,
It's like, oh, well, it teaches you tools and skills and come froms and paradigms that allow you to drop what you think you know at the door
yeah.
and meet the world as it is. Beautiful. I almost want to like drop the mic. I will always drop the mic, but I will also ask you, Dan, is there anything else that's alive for you about circling in general or about the deep sea diver stage specifically that you,
No, no, I'm excited for the next stage. As I was saying before we started, I want to get more into the integration stuff. I want to learn
yeah,
how circling maps that because I've mapped it in other modalities, and this modality has been so rich. I just can't wait to add it to the, I don't know, the which metaphor works, the arrow in my
yeah.
quiver. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
whichever metaphor you want. I'm gonna
yeah,
add to that. Yeah, so we will move into midwife and integrator next month. Actually, yeah, May, mid-May. And so if, sovereign is the more I can be with me, the more I can be with you. And explorer is getting the other's world. Warrior is seeing what hasn't been seen. Deep sea diver is feeling what hasn't been felt or has not yet been fully felt. Midwife is the birth of something new. So that idea that when you stay in the feelings, and you have someone supporting you to stay with the feelings and even kind of like
Mm-hmm.
clearing some of the, the dust out of the way so that you can see more and feel more
Mm-hmm.
of your own experience, it will naturally and gradually lead to
Mm-hmm.
a new perspective, a new possibility,
Even new behaviors.
yeah, new behaviors, new choices
Mm-hmm.
that seem or that didn't seem available. And so that will be the midwife. We welcome and celebrate that. And then that integrator is bringing all of that back into the sovereign self. So it's not just a state experience that you had in the circle, but it becomes part of
Mm-hmm.
what that's the becoming, I think. It now becomes part of who you are, kind of like, like guy teaches about, I think, an explorer when he shows you guys the FedEx sign and he's like,
Mm-hmm.
find the arrow. Like, where is the arrow in the FedEx? And it's like hidden there in the E to the X. And like, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. The same thing like with Amazon, like the idea behind the Amazon logo is it smiles from A to Z. So there's that little arrow that points from A to Z that's supposed to be a smile. It's like, oh, like once you see it, you will never unsee it, you know? Um, yeah. And so it's like that with, we hope, with midwife and integrator. It's like once you see this new possibility, this new
Mm-hmm.
perspective and integrate it into your sovereign self, you can't go back
Right.
to the old biases, the old behaviors, the old ways of thinking or the old filters that you were experiencing something or someone through. Like you can't help but up level. I'm excited
Yeah.
for it
So
too.
I'm imagining then that you actually suggest that folks pick behaviors after the circle to continue whatever the insight is or to deepen it.
Well, in integration, we'll ask you, like,
Yeah.
well, what's possible now? We'll ask
Yeah.
you, like,
Yeah,
so
that makes sense.
how does the original
Yeah.
issue seem to you now?
Yeah.
And what do you want to do about that?
Yeah.
And what seems possible now that didn't seem possible 45
Exactly.
minutes ago?
Yeah. Exactly.
And so, and they
Beautiful.
will name, they're like, oh, I think I'm going to go have this conversation with my dad. Or actually, like, I'm not mad at them anymore. I actually have compassion for this choice. I'm
Mm.
still going to hold a boundary with it,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't feel consumed by anger. Like, I get why they did it. Still holding the boundary,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel a lot more freedom around it.
Yeah.
And I don't feel guilt about the boundary. Like, it
Yeah.
makes sense to me now. And so, like, it's not as prescriptive as it is, like an invitation. What's possible now?
Mm-hmm.
What seems different now? What seems available now?
Nice.
What are you wanting to do from here?
Nice.
You know, yeah,
Beautiful.
cool. I'm
Yeah. Looking
excited.
forward to it.
Yeah, I'm excited to see. I'm excited to be in the workshop with you next month and
Yeah.
then to talk to you afterwards,
Yeah.
and see, what sifted into place for you and how it's
Yeah.
metabolizing for you.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you for sharing with us today, Dan.
Thanks.